One of the added benefits and value of APIAVote and Apollo's political program was trying to target voters in the margins, infrequent voters, immigrant voters. And so that was really one of the underlying premises that shaped and informed our political program. So what were some of our accomplishments? I think Peter really highlighted a bunch of them. Nationally, we targeted over 100,000 Asian American and Pacific Islander voters in 7 battleground states. These include Washington State, Oregon, Nevada, Michigan, Ohio, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. We registered thousands of voters. We sent out over 100,000 pieces of mail, of direct mail in English, Korean, Tagalog, Chinese, and Vietnamese. We made over 100,000 phone calls in English, Korean, Tagalog, Mandarin, Cantonese, and Vietnamese. And we were able to contact and assess approximately 20% of these voters. So what were some of our lessons learned? Because I think in large part, the Asian American Voter Contact Program mirrors the political program of political parties and also labor unions. And that is that direct voter contact, right? The one-to-one conversations are the most effective way to assess, move the program, and mobilize our community to participate in the political process. I think one of the challenges is that, again, there are a number of obstacles. I'm sorry, they have the greatest signs up here, so instead of time up, the sign says, please stop. So culturally appropriate, so culturally appropriate. I'm sorry, that was me. So let me wrap up. I think some of the lessons that we learned are that one of the ways, in addition to doing the amazing work that one of our other partnership organizations does, and that's the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, in protecting voters at the polls, what we also learned is that another way to protect Asian American voters is booking their votes early through early voting. And so through our Nevada program and also our Virginia program, we're able to have an absentee voting program where we're able to try to secure those votes, protect those votes early on in the process. And now that I'm thinking about it, I know that our Washington State program also incorporated an early voting program into their program. Second is, as we stated, we try to really enter the new, the old generation, the technological advances that some of the political candidates were able to incorporate into their campaign, into our campaign. So what does that mean? That means that we use voter files like the Voter Activation Network to make sure that we were able to track the type of conversations that we have with voters. Are they limited English proficient? What are some of the primary issues that are confronting some of the Asian American voters that we're having conversations with? And finally, this evaluation component. So we're proud to say that Apollo's had a political program since 2000, and humbly, we think that some of our organizers are some of the most effective organizers because they learn from organized labor. But something that we're able to incorporate that we're very proud of is that we're able to incorporate an evaluation component into our Virginia program this year. It's the first time that we've done this. We hope that it will allow us to go back to funders like Vita stated to say that, anecdotally, we know that our program works because we have conversations with Vietnamese American voters through the Vote People SOS office in Northern Virginia that say, wow, this is absolutely amazing. We didn't know that the Asian American community mattered. We didn't know that that Asian American votes are coveted. So we know that through anecdotal evidence, right? But this is hopefully will be the first time that we have science-based, quantitatively proven research that says, in Virginia, we had 2 live calls, we had 2 direct calls, we had a robocall, and as a result of that, we know that we were able to increase the voter participation rate of Asian American voters by X amount. And I have to really applaud APIAVote because we were able to connect with researchers at Yale University at the APIAVote boot camp to be able to conduct this analysis. So in closing, getting beaten up here. See, that's my third wrap up. In closing, final, I promise. I think we're very proud of our accomplishments. And I think that we have a lot to learn. But I think that as long as political parties, candidates, labor unions continue to ignore our communities, as long as political parties, candidates, and labor unions come to the Asian American community exclusively for funds, like Secretary Bennett said, and not necessarily for our human resources, as long as there are specific concerns for Asian American workers and families, I'm very proud to stand with APIAVote and the work that we do. Thank you.
Half a day, everybody.
Half a day.
I just want to quickly go over APIAVote's messaging strategy and how it is a priority for us and our partners. We've been privileged as staff because APIAVote's leadership has really put communications as a strategy right next to the field. The field should include a communication strategy. And also including it in our training program, training people how to communicate with media and how to use the media. I remember earlier this year I was sitting down with a lady at Starbucks, and she was typing it with regards to bad training. And the one thing she said that stuck in my head was, everything we do as a community is newsworthy. So I put that up on my wall. It's still there. I look at it every day, and that's what drives the communications work at APIAVote. So, sorry, let me get closer to the mic. I don't know how closer I can get it. So usually we are not in headline news. We're not in mainstream media. We do have a very active and vibrant ethnic media. But how do we get to mainstream media? How do we get on broadcast news? And how do we make our case that our votes do matter, that we can participate as a community in electoral and policy-making processes? We have not been on the forefront. Maybe it's been inadvertently. Maybe it's cultural, as Amato said earlier. Maybe it's on purpose. They have, they've detected Latinos as growing African Americans as a viable political bloc, but not Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. But this election cycle is proof that strategic messaging will get out electoral work to the forefront and get us the media attention and also the political attention that we need to be able to make our issues heard. Now, communications is a very general word. It can encompass many things. At APIAVote, this includes ethnic media work, our regular newsletters, mainstream media relations, and social networking. For this particular discussion, I want to hone in on media relations, whether it's traditional print and broadcast, as well as new media such as blogging, which we've used heavily during the primaries and also in the general elections. I hone in on media relations because, as I said earlier, this is how we can make the case for API communities. While we are out there getting the votes, we also need to be talking about it. It's also through the media that we can make the case that we are growing and political power. So how do we make that case? I know Vina said earlier, we're talking about narrative and numbers. And we really honed in on that. We needed to tell our stories, but we needed the numbers to back it up. And that was a challenge in and of itself. Because Vina was talking about in terms of us not being in the data. But we went forward, we just decided to have as concise and consistent a message as we could. And those are 2 points that we always stressed with whoever we were talking to. We wanted to highlight the growth of our API communities, especially overall in the country, and especially in non-traditional areas where APIs are not necessarily a large minority, such as in California or Hawaii or New Jersey, but they're up and coming, they're emerging, they're naturalizing, and they're eager to participate in the political process. So that means states like Minnesota and Virginia and Nevada. And we also wanted to underscore, of course, our potential political power. We